What's up, my people? In this video, we will be doing factoring when a does not equal 1. And remember, it's the standard form for the quadratic formula, x squared plus bx plus c. Remember, a is your front number, b is your second number, and c is always your constant, including the sign. And also that's the same for b, including the sign, okay? So let's jump right in. Our first question is going to be 7v squared minus v minus 6. Okay, so we have to factor this. Now, you notice right here, there's the actual number there, so we're going to do something a little bit different, okay? So we still have our box, we still have our x. And still, this doesn't change, 7v squared, because that goes in the front. The back is still minus 6 or negative 6. And over here, this is still negative 1. What changes this time is we have to do, remember that this was a times c back here. So I got to do 7 times negative 6. You get negative 42. And we have to figure out what times what makes negative 42 like before. 1 times 42. 2 times 21. 3 times 14. 6 times 7. We got to figure out how to get 1. And we'll use 6 and 7. Well, my 7 has to be negative because 6 minus 7 is negative 1. And then, so I'm going to put this negative 7v right there. And I'm going to put positive 6 right here. And the reason I did that is because it makes it, in my opinion and in my brain, it makes it easier because we're getting ready to have to find the common factor of this group right here. And then we're going to find the common factor of this group down here. Okay? So I got to find what the greatest common factor of that top line is. And hopefully, by this time, you're so good at these, you said the greatest common factor is going to be 7v. Okay? Now that we have the 7v out there, we have to figure out 7v times what made 7v squared. And the only thing that would make that work is 1v. I really don't need that line there now. So 1v. Do you have to put the 1? Not necessarily. But 7 times 1 is 7. V times v is v squared. The next thing you have to do, you have to identify 7v times what makes this negative 7v. And that answer is negative 1. Okay? Now, oh, I forgot to put the v here, right there. Now I have to figure out on this bottom row, how do I get 6v? Well, I could do 1v times this number gives me 6v, and that answer is going to be 6. Okay, so 6 times the 1v on the top makes this 6v. 6 times this negative 1 is negative 6. So I checked a couple places. So my factors are going to be 7v plus 6. And then it'll be v minus 1. That is the first one. I'm going to do a total of 5. So this is number 1. Okay? So that's the end of number 1. Let's do another one. Number 2. That line is not supposed to be done there. Oh, hold on. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Number 2. Number 2 says, let's do 3n squared plus 20n minus 63. Okay, so I'm going to do my box again. Wait, that's a little bit too close. Do my box again down this way. Put my x over here. And then let's do some work. So remember my 3n squared still goes there. and my minus 63 is going to go here. My number 20 is going to go here. But now I have to multiply 3 times 63. And when I multiply 3 times 63, or 3 times negative 63 rather, you get negative 189. Okay? So let's go ahead and run through some of these. 1 times 189. 3 times 63. 7 times 27. I still can't get to my 28, or can I? 9 times 21. Is there a way to get to 20? Yes. Right here. I'm going to do 27 and 7. And I have to subtract the 7 because 27 minus 7 is 20. And then 27 times negative 7 is negative 189. So, let's see. I'm going to put the 27 in on the top and the negative 7 in on the bottom. Again, we have to factor this one first. And after we factor that top one, all the other stuff just kind of falls into play. So let's see here. So what does the top one and what does that top one have in common? They both have 3n. 3n times what is n squared? Is 3n squared? That's just another n. Okay? And then 3n times what is going to give me 27n? That's going to be a positive 9. Okay? Now I'm going to look here. N times what gave me negative 7n? That's negative 7. So now we got to do 3n minus 7. And I got n plus 9. Now, what if I wanted you to find the zeros? We're going to find the zeros on this particular one. Actually, I'll wait for like the last two. Okay? Because you're going to have to find the zeros eventually. No, let's go ahead and do it on this one. Let's do it on this one. So when we find the zeros, bust this right down the middle. 3n minus 7 equals 0. N plus 9 equals 0. The easy one is the one on the right. I'm just going to go ahead and subtract 9 for both sides. Like so. N equals negative 9. That was easy. Now this over here is a two-step equation. And a two-step equation is you do the order of operations backwards. So if there is any addition or subtraction, you do that first. Any multiplication or division, you do that second. And usually it'll only be these two. So what we're going to do is, do we have any addition or subtraction? Yes, we have to do the inverse of the inverse of minus 7, which will be plus 7. Now we're there. And then, okay, we did that. Addition, subtraction, check. Now we got to see if there's any multiplication or division. You know how to do this one. This is a one-step equation. And if we want to isolate the n, we have to divide both sides by 3. Divide both sides by 3. And guess what? I want you to leave it as a fraction. This is one of your zeros. That is your other zero. So when you're finding your zeros, you have to do the order of operations backwards, okay? Let's go ahead and slide down to another one. Let's see. Let's do pink this time. Number 3. Number 3, we're going to do 7m squared plus 62m minus 9. So I want you to find Actually, the whole thing is find the zeros. So you have to go through this whole process. Okay, so let's do, here's our box. Perfect little box. And there's an X. And then 7m goes here, 7m squared. Down here goes -9. Because remember, those come from here and here. And then the number in front is going to be 62. And then the number in back, we got to multiply that. And that's going to be -63. So we got to figure out how to get 62. Well, our first one is 1 times 63. And let's say we don't notice that. So we got 3 times 21 and 7 times 9. Well, 1 and 63 can make a 62. So let's try that. 63 and 1. If I put a minus down here, 63 minus 1 is 62. And 63 times -1 is -63. So now I'm going to put my 63 up here. We'll put my -1 here. And let's roll. So I got to figure out how to, I need to factor this line first. Once you factor that line, everything else falls into play. What number goes into 63 and 7? That happens to be 7. And the lowest number of m's I could take out is 1. 7m times something is 7m squared. Well, that happens to be 7m times 1m. You don't have to put the 1. And then I got to figure out 7m times what is going to give me this 63. And that happens to be a +9. Okay? Now, m times what is going to give me -1m. That's -1. Or you could have even looked here. 9 times something over here has to be this positive, has to be that -9 right there. Okay? That's another way to look at it. So now that I have my numbers, I can go ahead and write my parentheses. Oops, not that, no, the highlighter. 7m minus 1, m plus 9. But I want you to find your zeros. So I got to make m plus 9 equals 0. And then I got to do 7m minus 1 equals 0. So m plus 9 equals 0. 7m minus 1 equals 0. So I got to subtract 9 from both sides. That's the easy one. So I'm going to do m equals -9. Now, remember, we got to do the order of operations backwards. We got to do this first. Do I have any addition or subtraction? Yes. Add 1 to both sides. 7m equals +1. Now I got to isolate m. So I have to divide, which is this row, by 7 on both sides. So m equals 1/7. Also, m equals -9. Those are my zeros. There's 2 zeros. Okay? That's problem number 3. I got 2 more for you. I got to make sure y'all got all of this good stuff. All right, so here we go. That was number 3. And if I'm going too fast, you are more than welcome to, of course, pause the video, go rewind it, go watch it a little bit, listen to what I'm saying, work some of the problems out with me. Don't just be looking at me. 6n squared. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save this one for last. This is a fun one. So let's do 8k squared minus 10k minus 7. Okay? Here we go. I'm going to put 8k right here squared, -7 back here. And then I'm going to put negative 10K here. And what do I have to do? Multiply that. That's going to give me negative 56. Negative 56. Now I got to multiply, see what makes negative 56. That can give me 10. So 1 times 56, 2 times 28, 4 times 14. Okay? And then I got to figure out which of these can I get a 10. Oh, by the way, you don't need to put the K here. And that's going to give me 14 and 4. So I'm going to do 14 and 4. But remember, I need negative 10. That means my 14 has to be negative. Okay? Now, again, I have a negative 14 and a 4. Because I know 7 has a 14, I'm going to just put it down here. 14K, and I'm going to put my positive 4K at the top. Remember, it doesn't matter which one you put it in. It's just whatever easier. I'm going to say easier on the eyes. All right. So now we have to figure out what can go into both of those. What number goes into 8 and 4? 8 and 4. And so the number on 8 is going to be, between 8 and 4, you can pull out a 4 out of each one. And K, don't forget to pull out your K. Now we have to figure out 4K times what gives me 8K squared. Well, 4 times 2, that gives me the 8. And then K times K gives me the K squared. There's that part so far. And then we got to do 4K times something gives us 4K. That's a positive 1. Now that we're here, I want to say 2K times what number is negative 14K? Or I can say 1 times what number is negative 7? That number is negative 7. So now I have my factors. Now I need to set this equal to 0. Now these aren't as easy and as smooth as the first one. So again, these are two-step equations. Addition, subtraction first. I'm going to subtract 1, minus 1, minus 1. 2K equals negative 1. Then I'm going to divide by 2. So my first K is equal to negative 1/2. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to start with my addition, subtraction. Add 7, add 7. 4K equals 7. Now I'm going to divide both of these by 4. My other K is equal to 7/4. That is your final answer. And finally, a fun one. Not really. This is number 5, and you'll see why I call it a fun one in just a second. So we got 6n squared minus n. Ooh, my voice squeaked. Minus 40. And then we got this right here. Beautiful box. And I have an x right there. And then this is still 6n squared. Down here is still negative 40. Over here is negative 1. But this is where the fun begins. 6 times negative 40 is negative 240. So we have to make a list of the factors that's going to multiply, give me negative 240, but end up adding to give me 1. Okay? Here we go. 1 times 240. 2 times 120. 3 times 80. 4 times 60. 5 times 40. Just kidding. It's not 5 times 40. I lied. It's 5 times something. Okay. 6 times 40. 8 times 30. 10 times 24. 12 times 20. 15 times 16. And let me just grab a calculator real quick. 240 divided by 5 is 48. So I'm going to squeeze this 5 and 48 right there. I don't know how I missed that one. 5 times 48. So we have all these options. Now I got to figure out which pair which pair can give me a -1. And this is why I'll tell you write out your list, because if you don't write your list out, you'll more than likely miss this one down here. Okay? So now I have my 16 and my 15. And I need a -1, which means 16 needs to go on the top. And so, you know, it doesn't matter where I put the 16 and the 15. I'm going to put my 15 in on the top just because to me it seems easier. Now, again, we have to look here and figure out what goes into both of those. And that number happens to be 3n. Okay, now 3n times what is 6n squared? Well, 3 times 2 is 6, and then n times n is n squared. So there's that part. And then 3n times what is 15n? That's a +5. Now I'm going to take this +5 times some number is -40. That's a -8. Now I have my factors. 3n minus 8, 2n plus 5. Let's go ahead and find those zeros. And then this will be the last question on here. So I got 2n plus 5 equals 0. 3n minus 8 equals 0. I'm going to start on the left-hand side first this time. Remember, order of operations backwards. Do all my addition subtraction first. I'm going to add 8. 3n equals 8. And then I have some multiplication division happening. Divide by 3, divide by 3. So my first n, or my first 0, is at 8/3. And I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. So you get n, so 2n equals -5. Divide both sides by 2. And n equals -5/2. Those are the two zeros, and that's just about it. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and rewind this video and watch it again, or you can ask me in class. I'll talk to y'all soon.